Good day, good people. Welcome to Your Ukrainian One and Only podcast, which will provide you with a good attitude and a proper information about Ukraine and about the war in Ukraine. And Lyubov will help me to tell you what are we going to talk about today. What is the topic, Lyubov? Please tell.
Yeah, hello everyone. Today we decided to discuss our, let's say, language situation in Ukraine, because for us locally it is a huge topic, but I'm not sure, can we explain to the other world what is happening in Ukraine with language, because spoiler alert, Ukrainians are bilinguistic nation. I don't know how to say it. Bilingual people. Yeah, not nation. We are bilingual people because we speak both Ukrainian and Russian in different ways. But I mean, people know this language in different ways. For someone speak more Ukrainian, less Russian, but they totally understand Russian, and some speak more Russian and definitely totally understand Ukrainian. So these two languages, the first sight seems to be using interchangeably in Ukraine, but it is not the whole truth, let's say. And one of the Russian propaganda is that they are saving Russian-speaking people in Ukraine. Spoiler alert, that is not true. Yes. So we really think that we should dive deep in this topic and try to explain what is happening and what led to this situation, where this propaganda started, what exactly is happening in this sphere. I mean, what languages are used, how people perceive it. So yes, we want to speak about language, Ukrainian language mostly, and suppression of this language mostly in Ukraine. Yeah. So I hope it will be understandable, because frankly speaking, I recall one situation when I was traveling around Slovakia, and I met a girl from Airbnb host. So we had a party, and we had this conversation about the war in Ukraine. It was before full-scale invasion. It was in September. And yeah, we touched a bit the language, and she couldn't understand. I was trying to explain to her that we have Russian speaking people in Ukraine, and Russia claims that they are suppressed by Ukrainians, and Russia wants to save them, as they say. And my feeling was that she couldn't understand what's the point, why it is so serious, this language topic. Ukraine, yeah. So I saw foreigner face. Foreigner couldn't understand. Okay, Ukraine is a country. Ukraine has its language, official language. It is Ukrainian. What more discussion can be? Yes. So yeah, for a foreigner, I saw they see it this way. So what are you talking about? Why it is even an issue? That's yes. So it is supposed to be so easy, right? So Germany has German language. France has French language. So Poland has Polish language. China, of course, different dialects, but Chinese language. So it's supposed to be an easy, but Unfortunately, we are not an easy going country with easy history, and it's not so easy with language in our country too. And I really hope we will manage to explain what happened and maybe why it happened. And I hope it will be clear for people from outside of Ukraine. So yes, this is the topic for today.
Yeah, it is actually a classical topic for blame the victim. So basically, Ukrainian was for the whole my life, I would tell, Ukrainian was always suppressed. Ukrainian language, and right now they are blaming us that we are suppressing Russian language, which is like
classical victim blaming.
Absolutely classical victim blaming, and moreover, lots of Russian people do support this victim blaming. And considering the recent news about the decriminalization of domestic violence.
Sorry, what? I haven't heard about it.
Yeah, they had like several months back, maybe half of the year, they decriminalized domestic violence. So when husband hits his wife,
I heard.
Then it doesn't like count.
It doesn't count.
Something bad. Oh well, I didn't go in deep there. I just read the news, and I've seen lots of people who were talking about that from Russia, Russian bloggers. I mean, before the war, long before the war.
So
long before the current war.
Yes, the full scale invasion. Yes, it's a long term, but it is correct term.
Yes.
Maybe we should make some acronym for this. Yes.
Yes.
FSI, something like this.
Full-scale invasion.
FSI, yes.
So let it be FSI. So long before FSI, but during the time of war, lots of their bloggers were talking about that, and they were not happy about that, which is absolutely understandable for me, I would say. Regarding the language,
yeah, as of now I understand, I see that victim blaming is their lifestyle, let's say. So
yeah.
it's okay. Yeah, let's go back to the language. So actually, I'm sorry, maybe it will be boring or too much or something like this, but we have to go through this a bit of historical background. Okay, sorry, just wait for it. Just.
No, why? It's actually quite interesting thing.
Yeah, for me it is. Very interesting. I do like to go back and to understand what was the beginning, how it started, what was there. But I do understand that not for everyone it will be so interesting as for me. So please be patient. Actually, we touched a bit of it in our previous episodes, that Ukrainian language was banned around 64 times during whole our history. It is not the proper number, because definitely it is hard to count the exact number, because it was done, this suppression, this bans was done in different ways. But our historians not start to count, but they have strong evidences that it was sort of started in 17th century. And in this point, we can say we can automatically say that Russian claims that Ukrainian was made up by Lenin. So sorry, I will remind you that Lenin lived in 20th century, not in 17th. So if they Russian, and actually in 17th century there was no even such country as Russia. It was Moscovia. So in 17th century, Moscovia banned Ukrainian language. The producing of books in Ukrainian language was banned. You couldn't, some public performances couldn't be done in Ukrainian language. And what was the most important point in 17th century, in church, you wasn't allowed to speak Ukrainian. Ukrainian language was, as they said, the language for village people. So it was like, niche, and not intelligent people used it. And actually this narrative was alive even during my life. I felt even this too, that when I was speaking Ukrainian in Kiev, I felt that I'm, that something is wrong with me because I speak Ukrainian, So it is, this narrative has really long story. Long history, centuries. It was done for centuries. So yes, it started with ban of Ukrainian books on Ukrainian language and performances. But as for me, the most efficient way was Soviets done it most efficient way, because definitely there was a lot of bans of books, music. They killed our whole generation of writers. Yes, we have this term in Ukraine, shooted Renaissance. In early 20th century, Soviets started with politic of give all nations that will join Soviet Union their identity. And it was at first, it was a policy of, I don't know, is it proper to say Ukrainization? Something like this. It was something like this. And Ukrainian culture really raised, it was a renaissance. So 1920s, we know Khvelyovy and this generation, a lot of really huge amount of Ukrainian writers, artistic people. They just started to write, to sing, to do plays in theaters, make plays in theaters in Ukrainian. But then, till the end of 1920s, the Soviet government saw a danger in these movements, so they just started to ban everything they have done. I mean, Ukrainian artists. So they were shooted, almost everyone, even Khvelyovy, they were shooted. So we call it shooted Renaissance, this period, and this people in our history, it called shooted Renaissance. Then in 1930s, Soviet government decided to erase the differences between Ukrainian language and Russian language. So they made a book, let's say, sort of a vocabulary, I don't know how to say it properly. So they made book of rules how to use Ukrainian language, and each rule was made for the purpose to erase these differences between Ukrainian and Russian language. So if you have one word in Ukrainian and it translates to Russian differently, they will or make up a different word or just find the other synonym that will sound as similar as possible to Russian language. So as a result, they can claim that Ukrainian language is a dialect of Russian language. What is not true, obviously. It is really different languages, and
well, I think some countries from Indian Peninsula would like to attack all of the Slavic and Slavonic countries for using their language and protect originally Hindi speaking, because we are all part of Indo-European group of languages, and sorry, but we are all kind of a dialect from one mother tongue.
I think we have to make a disclaimer here that you are linguistics. So because when you started saying it, I couldn't understand India. Sorry, what?
Yeah, we are like all Slavonic languages are the part of Indo-European branches of the language tree, actually.
So originally it was created somewhere in India, I don't know, somewhere on that land, so maybe they can raise up.
Slavonic languages, which are like East Slavic, Eastern and Northern Slavic language, a group of languages, is like Serbian, Croatian, Bulgarian, Slovenian, Ukrainian, Russian, Polish, and Czech.
And Belarusian, yes? And Belarusian.
Yeah, and Belarusian language as well. Yeah, all of the languages are belonging to that group. All of the languages which we basically can name and have seen somewhere or have heard somewhere is from that origin.
So our languages developed from that ancient Indian language, people, nations. It's not proper to say. Okay. Peoples that lived really long, thousands years ago.
Basically
Indian lands.
Yeah, it's all it is all like rooted to somewhere there. There were some tribes which were speaking different types of languages, different parts of languages, but mostly it's from there. So are we supposed to be conquered by India?
Yes, if we speak about Russian approach, yes, so that could be this way. But the impact of this is really huge, and even when nowadays we had this problem that people are now, even my friends, people in Ukraine, a lot of people in Ukraine were saying that what a point! Why it is so important to speak Ukrainian? I speak Russian. Yes, I do understand Ukrainian. I can speak, but not so good. It is easier for me to speak Russian. I will speak Russian. I won't change. So it is spreaded thing that people didn't understand why it is important to support Ukrainian language. It sounds funny. You have to support Ukrainian language in Ukraine. Wow. But yes, it was a point when we had to support it. But we have to be clear that language, it is identity. it is how you can differ one nation from the other. So it is nation identity. And if you don't support this identity, you lose it. And Soviet did it really efficient way, because in 70s, 80s, they just started to pay more, for example, to teachers at school, to Russian language teachers. So if you are Ukrainian Ukrainian language teacher, you pay less. So obviously people don't want to choose this job. And if you have chosen this job, it says a lot about you, and KGB agency can put an eye on you. So if you are studying at school, in Ukrainian school, it is not so, you don't have much perspective in your life, because then in university you have to make or to learn Russian and Russian terms. And if you, for example, you want to make a PhD or something like this, you could do it only on Russian language. So people were trying to change from Ukrainian to Russian, and Soviet government did everything to make people to make this choice, from Ukrainian to Russian. So with some time, Ukrainian language was really weak in Soviet Ukraine, right? So, and this feeling that I said before, that you think that something is wrong with you because you speak Ukrainian, because in big cities, mostly people spoke Russian. And in villages,
it was considered like educated language.
It was a tendency when you come from a village or a small town to the city, for example, to study in the university or even to get a job or something like this. So people tend to change from Ukrainian to Russian because A, it was more convenient because everyone there was spoken Russian. B, you wouldn't be considered as a stupid village guy because you speak Ukrainian. And then they become like a city guy, So you speak Russian, it means you're great, nice, smart, and you are from the city. And you go back home and speak with your relatives Russian, your relatives speak Ukrainian, and they would make fun of you that, so now you became a city guy, right? So you speak Russian.
Yeah, that was kind of elite forming part of it. So if you wanted to sound smart, you had to speak Russian. Nevertheless, may you tell a little bit about my story? Yeah,
it's interesting. Yes, because I actually wanted to put it this way, that for us it is interesting to discuss this topic, because I am Ukrainian speaking Ukrainian.
You're from Ukrainian speaking region of Ukraine.
Yes, from I grew up in Zhytomyr region. We had this situation. If you go to the big city Zhytomyr, let's call it big city. Actually it is big city.
Oh, it is big city.
Yeah, it is big city. So in Zhytomyr, they were speaking mostly Russian, but around Zhytomyr and Zhytomyr region, everyone spoke Ukrainian. And for me, I grew up as Ukrainian speaker, and I then went to Kyiv. I entered the university in Kyiv, and it was a huge surprise for me that my teachers studying they make all their curriculum in Russian. Why? It was a surprise for me. But you are from not mostly, okay, but you are from Russian-speaking
I'm from
family, let's say.
Russian-speaking region and family. Everybody was speaking Russian around me, and there was an interesting situation. In my district of a town, we had enough schools. There were like school for everybody, like within like 15 minutes of walking, and you could always go to school anywhere, even though if you would move, you would not have to ride anywhere. But in my district, we had two schools just across the road, one from another one. Same was with the kindergartens. They were nearby. This was like one was Russian-speaking school, where all of the curriculum is studied in Russian, except for Ukrainian language and Ukrainian literature, which were in the curriculum, and we were studying that as well. And another one was Ukrainian speaking. And at that point of time, it was like late 90s, beginning of 2000s, Ukrainian school, for no reason, was considered like a little bit worse. Like if you want to have your child smart, you better send him or her to Russian speaking. As I now understand, that was just the elitists formation. There wasn't a difference between the schools beside the language the subjects are taught with. But at that time, that was like totally different dimension, I would say, from right now. So I was attending Russian-speaking school. So all of the subjects were taught in Russian, except for foreign languages. That was considered cool at that time. Of course, the university I attended was also Russian speaking. I have written my diploma in Russian, actually.
Really?
Yes, my diploma
I'm sorry, in
Russian.
what year you...
Yeah, that was 2012, 2013. So that was actually a year before the war has started in eastern part of Ukraine, war between Russia and Ukraine. Moreover, most of
I'm shocked. Sorry, I'm shocked.
Since I was studying languages, the majority of professors in the university were teaching us in Russian, or the language they are teaching you. Whether it's like German, then it's in German. You have to deal with in German. But all of the, all of the general required curriculum, it's like I don't know, history of Europe we had, or like mathematics we also had as linguists. It was taught in Russian. And lots of explanations were provided in Russian, not in Ukrainian. Just because lots of the linguistics professors were studying somewhere in Moscow, somewhere in Russia, or here. It was just a common practice to to teach stuff in Russian. And whenever there were some people who were requiring education in Ukrainian. They were trying to ask professors, could you please provide the explanation in Ukrainian? Lots of professors couldn't provide that. So they didn't even properly know the names, the technical terms, I would say, linguistic terms. So some of the terms are totally different in these languages. So it's not like you cannot blueprint that one to another. But they were considered annoying, those people who were even at that time. Could you imagine that? They were considered annoying. Nobody told that directly, but you could actually feel, you can see the attitude of professor.
Again, you with your Ukrainian language.
This freaking Ukrainians are, but they were Ukrainians as well, and so on and so forth. There was one guy who was speaking Ukrainian in my university. There was one guy who was speaking Ukrainian in day-by-day life. Lots of people were not kind to him, or had some biases regarding that. So he was considered weird for speaking Ukrainian in day-by-day life, in everyday life, just like in as a personal choice. He was making that as a statement, actually, that Ukrainians should leave. And he was ahead of his time, actually. Just 1 year after we graduated, everybody was speaking Ukrainian. And it was important to speak Ukrainian because to support your culture. People suddenly understood that it is very important to support their culture, and there is nothing wrong in speaking Ukrainian in that region, because before that people were reacting quite weirdly, very weird to Ukrainian. So it wasn't considered even people were annoyed. They were not just not speaking Ukrainian. They were annoyed about that. Due to the long-time policy, due to the long-time propaganda that Ukrainian is bad, that Ukrainian is the language of the people who hate you, Ukrainian is the language of Stepan Bandera. For some people, that was an argument. Can you imagine that?
I can imagine that, because actually I even wrote down from the one article I read about suppression of Ukrainian language, and in the 1930s, when they started to ban, a lot of Ukrainian books and so on and so forth, these books and everything on Ukrainian language I wrote it down. I'm not sure how to translate it, because even in Russian and Ukrainian, it sounds like something incredibly stupid thing, but Soviet called it Ukrainian language, and everything written in Ukrainian called as bourgeoism nationalism.
What does it? What is that supposed to mean?
Буржуазний націоналізм, розумієш? I don't know how to explain it to a foreigner. I
cannot explain it to myself. What does it mean? It's not understandable. Ukrainian was villainized in my region. Basically, if you were speaking Ukrainian, people would treat you differently, actually. As much as I wouldn't like to believe in this truth, but it is what it was. The main idea right now that it was the situation. It's not anymore. Because Russia, by their activities, by their war, but their full-scale invasion, subsequent full-scale invasion, they made everything so people wouldn't want to speak Russian. Even in very pro-Russian speaking region as mine, people were like, they didn't even like Ukrainian, but right now they are speaking Ukrainian, not because somebody made them to speak Ukrainian, but because of a choice which they did right now. Due to the situation in 2014, there was like a huge wave. A lot of people shifted to Ukrainian, but that was still like, well, why do we have to, and so on and so forth. There was even some resistance to Ukrainian language among some marginalized parts of population, because if person cannot learn the language they speak day by day properly, I mean Russian, they couldn't learn second language properly. So that was just, for that hate towards Ukrainian language, there was a prerequisite. Prerequisite was limited brain activity and limited brain capacity. So inability to learn your native language. But that's totally different story.
But that's not they had to learn this language. Just start to speak on this language, because definitely they do understand it. They know this language. They
couldn't understand why they have to shift from their day-by-day language. But right now there is totally different situation, actually, and I love it. You know what that situation have proved to me with the people who started to speak Ukrainian after the full-scale invasion, that they speak beautifully.
Yes.
Lots of people, I didn't even know that some people from my childhood that they could speak Ukrainian, and when they started to sound like, I don't know even what to compare, like angels, but not that sweet kind, but smart. Kind of, they started to sound so smart and so cool. They have so clean Ukrainian language that I was like, good and correct pronunciation and so on and so forth. They started to speak it, and I was like, oh my God, why were you hiding all this time?
Yes.
Why didn't you speak like Ukrainian before? And so on and so forth. And the amount of there is such thing in your language as a vocabulary, in your day-by-day language. The bigger it is, the smarter you sound, more things you can describe. So their vocabulary was bigger than average, I would say, because they were using a lot of Ukrainian words which are not which is not the word you could go for to simply explain something. But they started to use those, and I was like, so you were pretending you were stupid, actually. You were just pretending that you were speaking Russian, and no, why do we need this? And look at you now. You sound like a good college professor in Ukrainian language. And what the actual heck, guys? Shift to Ukrainian, not because it's like not to show your patriotism. Shift to Ukrainian language because you sound
smart
and so cool in that. I couldn't imagine that actually, even as a linguist, how that shift is going to happen, and how that shift is going to influence your attitude to a person. Like my attitude to a person who starts to speak Ukrainian to me. That's amazing, actually. That is like a thing to remember.
Yeah, but the irony is that as Russia was saying that they are saving Russian speakers in Ukraine and they are bombing Russian-speaking cities, they are killing Russian-speaking Ukrainians in Mariupol, in Kherson, in Kharkiv, in Mykolaiv. So it's okay. And you said that people are shifting to Ukrainian, but not just because they, I don't know, someone made them to do it, right? Because it's hard to speak Russian when Russian speaking bomb is falling on you, so people now do understand how important it is. So that's why we wanted to cover this topic and we wanted to speak about it, because we right now as a nation really truly understand how valuable, how important it is to protect your culture, to save your culture, to build it.
It is important to protect and save your culture when your neighbor is idiot.
Yeah,
this is the only case. Usually the culture, usually the culture and your language is doing good job by keeping itself safe without your actions, any of your actions. You just do it. But basically, we were put in such a situation where we have to protect our culture, our language, and so on and so forth. Because it is like, it's hard to understand when one country, neighboring country, Russia, is invading Ukraine because they don't want to speak Russian. This is what, like, if you ask...
So, please go to Brooklyn. Everyone there speaks Russian. You will like it, enjoy it. Go there.
Go somewhere they, like... you have to cut off bad vibes. If Ukrainians are toxic to Russian, then please shift your attention to something pleasant. Like, I do not know, killing bears or hitting your wife at home, or like killing your child,
whatever you like to do there.
Yeah. But excuse me, but what the heck? It's not like it is. I'm not talking about level of reason here. There is it is not reasonable, but moreover, it is out of any logic. We are whom you are protecting, Russian speaking?
So please, can anyone explain me why Russia is trying to save Russian speakers in Ukraine and don't help Russian speakers in Brooklyn?
Yeah, which like nothing personal. This is just a question for for common logic.
According to the God, really, I'm saying it, their propaganda logic, Russian speakers in Brooklyn are in a bigger danger than Russian speakers in Ukraine because they are in NATO country.
Yes, they are in US.
In this terrible Western world, this capitalistic, terrible Western world. Why don't they save them?
Yes. Why don't you say? That's the first
to their
question.
Propaganda.
Yeah. Well, there are a lot of people who who left Russia to other countries, right? And they live in there because those countries are treating democracy a little bit different than Russia. Why don't you go and protect those people who left Russia because it is impossible to live in Russia. It is extremely hard to live in Russia. To have like proper prosperous life inside the Russian territory because of the government actions. Why don't you go and save them? Like I don't know, maybe lots of Russians are living in some China, maybe somewhere in Asia. Why don't you try to go and liberate them? You won't. Why? Because you will get hit in your teeth really, really strong. Then you can hardly recover from it. So,
and they didn't expect to get it in Ukraine, and they really thought that this eastern region will, meet them with flowers and they will say, thank you, you saved us. But okay, come on. They propagated themselves. So now they really believe in what they are saying, as I understand. Because really they expected that this Mariupol or Kherson will open their arms and will meet Russian soldiers.
Well, surprise, bitches.
Surprise, bitches. Yeah.
Welcome to hell.
But the problem is that these fucking saviors are killing thousands of civilians. So I'm sorry, I'm getting too emotional, and when I think about these regions and what they have done for now, and we don't know a lot what is happening there, so it's hard to imagine what they've done to our country, to our land. And it's really, I don't know, I'm getting angry when I understand that.
Well,
it's just,
evidence are being collected and...
Yes, but it's just so stupid reasons, so huge stupidity is happening. It's hard to, to perceive it. So, yeah. But now we do understand that Churchill was right when they wanted to cut some expenses to culture during the Second World War. He said, so what are we fighting for? So if you want to cut expenses to culture, so what are we fighting for? And really, it isn't really understandable for us right now, because that is the only way you can save your nation and identity.
Have you seen that video where some Russian woman on TV? It was some kind of TV propaganda. I don't know who that was. I think that
I
was
don't care who are they.
Yeah, she was telling why not to share. Why borscht should be only Ukrainian? Yeah, I'm talking about this one. I know that you have seen that. Definitely.
I heard about it.
Why not to share that? Well, we can share. You can eat Ukrainian borscht. That's it. You just cook Ukrainian borscht and that's it. So you can eat that. It's like pasta. Nobody doubting that pasta is Italian, right?
No, it's a different story and different topic, because they were trying to claim that originally it is Russian food, but it's not. So they're saying why? Okay, don't.
Bitches, be serious? Really? Like originally Russian food? Oh God! Mm-hmm. Oh God! It was cooked even before there was Russia, even before there is Moscovia. What seems to be the problem here? I don't understand. That's like telling to Georgians, like, why Georgians are not sharing wine?
Or khachapuri, right?
Wine. What?
Mm-hmm. Or khachapuri.
Or khachapuri. Yeah, or khachapuri. Like, We also had something like that, and we were calling that Khachapuri, but then evil Georgians has come and stole it from our great Russian culture. You know what I want to say to Russian culture? Go fuck yourself, please. Please do not expand to our borders. I would like to have like my Ukrainian culture, maybe mix it with some European cultures, with some American culture, and that's it. I don't want a Russian culture anymore, please. No more Russian culture for me.
I recently saw some research about Russian culture in general. So it was said that, and I mostly agree with it. So they don't have such a thing as a Russian culture because almost everything was stolen. Starting from the name of the country. So actually it is really questionable, this thing as a Russian culture, but maybe we will cover it in some later episode because it's really huge topic and a lot.
Yeah, mostly all of it. It was not like a stolen. They just taken some parts of some other cultures and created their own, which is I couldn't tell that it is like a bad process or not normal process. It is absolutely fine, but not claim it. Not claim it that you are the origin of it. You're not the origin of it.
That's why I want to correct you, and maybe we will have a discussion, because I'm telling they have stolen, and you're telling they just took it. If you take something and you use it, you say, I have taken it there, I use it, I like it, and look how nice I use it.
Yeah.
But if you take something and you claim that it was originally yours, as for example, Crimea, it is different thing,
Okay, yeah, you are right. Yeah, okay. So let's call it. Yeah, they have stolen. They have stolen most parts of what they have. It's just like, dude, it's nonsense. Why do seriously, I do understand all of the logical aspects of the invasions and of trying to grab some more territories. But in my heart, like in my emotions, I do not get it. Why? Why did you decide that you are entitled enough to come and question the sovereignty of your neighboring country?
Today, my sister and we got a video and photo of her house in Hostomel. And there is no more house in Hostomel. It was burned, as we see on the photos, that it was burned, but it's not understandable why. I mean, there was no bombing. You don't see any broken from the bomb. So it just, I don't know why it was.
So somebody deliberately have burned it.
No, I'm not sure, but it wasn't. It's not obvious from the photo. It's hard to understand, but it just burned building. Everything inside was burned out, and you're looking at it and just saying, "Wow, Russian world! The Russian came here to save whom from what? What are you doing? You're killing our people and you're burning our houses." Russian savers. Thank you, guys. Go fuck yourself.
Go to hell.
They are already there. They are already in the hell. Oh gosh. Yes, and actually, sorry. you were saying about university, and I was really shocked that you made your diploma in Russian language, because
Yeah.
I didn't really pay attention a lot. Maybe I really had different experience, or it was not so. I didn't notice, maybe, because now I know that I don't notice a lot about language because how many 5 years ago I realized that me and my sister, my relative, my how do they say it? Okay, and my sister, we are speaking different languages. I didn't I didn't notice it for 27 years.
Yeah, because you didn't care about that too much.
Because I didn't care. I didn't hear it, so I didn't care about it. So,
Exactly.
it's a long story. She's elder sister. We came from Georgia to Ukraine, and she is 7 years older than me. And when she came to Ukraine, she had already spoken Russian for a long time. For she was 10 or something like this. But I was really, really small baby. I was 2.5 when we came to Ukraine. So I started my language journey, let's say, from a bit of Georgian and then Ukrainian. So yes, when I grew up and I entered university in Kyiv, I studied in technical university, and yes, some general lessons like, I don't know, history and so all of this, not technical lessons. Yeah, we had, as I remember, mostly in Ukrainian. Some teachers taught us in Russian, but not so many, actually. Let's say for humanitarian sector of our technical university, mostly was spoken Ukrainian, as I remember. But definitely our technical part of our university and curriculum was mostly on Russian, but the most reason was that they didn't know how to translate properly all technical terms from Russian to Ukraine. And they were trying to do it. And when they discovered me as a Ukrainian speaker there, they even teachers asked for help to translate a lot of their lessons to Ukrainian. And it was really hard job to do because you don't know how to translate technical terms properly. So, but I do remember you just made me to recall one situation. It was 2008 or 9, something like this. I don't remember how this lesson was called, but we had something like a discussion. It was a lesson, and our teacher came, just put it a lot of materials for us, and we had to learn something about how law regulates this information security sphere in Ukraine. And she brought a lot of materials, and I look at these materials and I realize that everywhere is written that it is a Russian Federation regulation. And I was, sorry, we are in Ukraine. Can we please learn Ukrainian law?
Yeah, that would be nice, actually.
What are you doing? Why? I don't have other materials. Read this. They're similar.
Bitch, you're a professor.
Sorry, what?
What the hell? I don't have what?
I
Jesus
had a huge scandal with this teacher. And even when I made my diploma, she was in this, I don't know how to say it, when you are telling about
In the
your
committee.
yeah, in the committee, and she done everything for me not to be qualified as a master degree, not to get this master degree.
Well, but she failed, as I understand, right?
Yeah, she failed. We have this graduation of master degree. You can get a mark, right? It's not you get it or you don't get it. You have this 5, 4, 3 something mark. So I had the lowest mark. I graduated, I got my diploma, but with the lowest mark. So my graduation was in 2013. This scandal was in 2008 or 9. And through these years, she remembered the scandal because I didn't want to learn
Russian legislation.
Yes, legislation of different countries. I'm sorry, guys. Why? Bring me German legislation. Why
Yeah,
not?
let's learn like I don't
Yeah.
know Eritrean legislation.
Oh, no. New friend of Russian.
No, which is like good when you are like law student, like and you have to know some of the legal peculiarities of some other countries. But you're tech, you are engineer student, and I was linguistic student. We are not supposed to know too much about that. Like, thank you, no.
Yeah, I just recalled this situation, right? And now I do understand how insane it was, right?
This is kind of funny, actually. Yeah, it is illogical. Each time I hear some stories from my friends, including you, about your university, I am shocked. I am telling you, I am a little bit shocked on how the personal attitude of professor or a teacher can influence the
studying process.
The studying process, right? Because like we didn't have that. I'm telling you, like I'm 100%. Honest. There are professors which like didn't like me personally, and they didn't hesitate to express their dislike to me, but it never ever influenced my marks, which is
I can explain you why. We had learned in really conservative university. I mean, look, we had just few faculties. One of them was this information security, and historically, from the Soviet time, it was really closed organization. You couldn't just enter this university. They were studying this information security stuff for further KGB work. So all professors there was from that Soviet times. And they really didn't want to change really fast, you know. And even what I do remember, when I entered university, student parliament existed not just on a paper, just for a year. I entered, and just a year there was some real student parliament. I entered that student parliament, and I had really a lot of fights with our teachers, with our professors. And we were trying to explain them that, yes, it is interesting to see the technology of 1986, but please, I am in the first century, and I want to know how does it work in 21st century. Can we please learn this stuff? I do understand that you like what you have done in 1978. We had equipment from 1964, 78, and it was a label on this equipment with the year when it was done. And I studied on this equipment.
That explains a lot.
The most innovative and new thing that we had, that our SSU department, Secret Service of Ukraine department, they presented to our university one thing. You could hear, I'm not sure I can describe it in English. You can hear some radio frequencies. You can, how to say it? You can hear what people are saying in a huge diapason of frequencies, and we even heard on some laboratories, we heard what, for example, taxi drivers are discussing and saying. We could hear some radio frequencies, and it was the most innovative thing. In 2004, our SSU presented it to our university. It was the only one equipment in our university, and you could use it only if you are the best of the best of the best of the best. And our teacher just made some deals to let us to use it, this equipment, and it was so interesting and funny because it was in the room. We came there. Some people who were person who were on charge of this equipment, he checked everything before we started to use it. He he just cleaned it. He just saw that everything is what it is, and after our lesson ended, he came back, and first he checked that nothing was broken but by us, and after that we could go to leave this room. And I had just few lessons on this equipment, just few. So, but we had to have a huge course of how does it work. But manually, I used it just a few times.
That sounds fun.
My university is really, it's really interesting, and it's really a different story because yes, I had bad luck to enter this really post-Soviet. It was still Soviet Union. It was Soviet Union oasis,
Yeah,
that's university.
That's why I didn't become a tech student, because I was expecting that. Actually.
No. Actually, in bigger our technical universities, even in Kyiv Polytechnic University, it's really different stories and different faculties.
Well, I have a confession to make.
Okay.
I didn't become technical student because I wasn't smart enough, so sorry. I wasn't technical enough.
In my case, I entered technical university. I studied there for 6 years, and I did understand that I'm not smart enough to do this job.
Yeah, because insane, just insane. That was the weirdest thing with the universities, that some of them were requiring Ukrainian, some of them were not requiring Ukrainian language, but right now the policy is one. You have to know Ukrainian to be in the university. You have to know it, and you have to speak it, and you better speak it good. Otherwise,
and we do have one more, this Renaissance, yes, from 2014. our Ukrainian culture just raised up, so many musicians, theaters, cinema, books were written in Ukrainian, and this culture really, Ukrainian culture really expanded, and we do have this one more wave of renaissance. And again, Russia came and tried to shoot to shoot.
And again, they're trying to destroy everything. Well, we are not lucky enough we were not lucky enough with the neighbor, actually. But we were lucky enough with other neighbors like Poland, like lots of countries there which are helping us. So that is amazing. But
we are not alone in this world.
Doesn't allow us to live prosperous life as we want to. Because that's the only reason, actually.
Yes. So I hope it was understandable.
Yes, it was.
I hope we really explained what's the point, this language question in Ukraine. I hope it was understandable. If you still have any questions, please feel free to write in the comment. Please comment, do like our podcast. Maybe you
even if you don't like our podcast, please like it. Which is actually impossible to not like our podcast. But,
of course.
Just in case, because there are always some exceptions and so on. So
So please subscribe to our channel. Please like this video.
Subscribe. Please subscribe.
Press the like button. In Ukrainian it will be вподобайка. But it's too hard word to Ukrainian word of the day. Maybe we will just
it's better than Укрзалізниця. Because what's the interesting thing? We never as Ukrainians, we never even thought that we have some complicated for pronunciation words. And then it appears on the internet that some people cannot pronounce Укрзалізниця, and I was like, what? Паляниця, Укрзалізниця.
Нісенітниця.
Нісенітниця. Або, дзюськати, або дзюськи тобі. Багатьом людям це важко вимовити, але вони намагаються.
Okay, come on, we are in the speaking podcast.
Yeah, that's true. So, Любов, what is the word of the podcast of the day?
I want to make the word of the day, the word mova.
Mova. Well, it's easy to pronounce, actually. What does it mean?
Yes, it's mova. It's language. So if you want to say Ukrainian language, in Ukrainian, it sounds like українська мова.
Українська мова. Так. Це наша мова. Будь здорова.
Okay, let's finish it.
I'm starting to freestyle, and I am known for my bad freestyle, actually. So,
Oh gosh. Let's stop it at the beginning.
Wrap it up until it's too late. Until it's too late. Like, seriously.
Okay, thank you for listening. Please subscribe, press the like button, and leave a comment.
Please subscribe to our channel.
Okay.
Please, we need it.
We really think that it is important to spread this awareness about Ukraine and Ukrainians. We are doing a lot to try to do it, so please help us with it. Of course, if you think it is appropriate. So, yes, have a nice day.
Another point, we really genuinely like you.
Yes.
Have a good day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.